Okay, so I am actually driving to go exchange out Kate's car because the back window is leaking. And I just had a thought that I've been listening to. I just listened to Tim Ferriss's podcast this morning. You know, of course, my love of all time at this moment in time is Gary Vaynerchuk, so I've been listening to a lot of what he's been talking about. And I've been talking about, so Tim Ferriss interviewed this guy, Marc Andreessen, who runs Andreessen Horowitz, which Marc Andreessen was one of the guys that started Netscape a long time ago. So that's been really cool just to hear about. But one of the biggest things that I could say, and the things that are going on in the world today, and I also listened to Marie Forleo's podcast earlier this week, which I'll link the video up in the email as well, or her video series with Simon Sinek, talking about the lack of leadership, basically, that's taking place in this world. And I would say, regarding of where we currently are in the state of the world, okay, let's just talk, we'll pull out big picture, right? We have been drilled for about a century, about 100 years now, and this started with the big industrialists. So the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, all of these guys, because if you look back at the educational system, that started about 100 years ago to educate individuals to go along in a societal norm that actually trains people to be factory workers, to work in the factories of these conglomerates, right? These huge industry leaders of like the Rockefellers and Vanderbilts and Carnegie Mellon, the Mellons and all of that stuff back 100 years ago or so. So you look at the educational system where we're at today, there's a lot of, student loan debt, all of that stuff. I'm not going to go into that. But the biggest thing that I'm talking about, many people that are receiving this video right now and listening to this video are business owners or running a business or thinking about a business. And the bottom line is that it's scary because we are so trained to be a part of the ongoing wheel. And to step out of that wheel and to start something on your own, for instance, like when I wanted to leave my MBA program to continue to focus on my business, but I ended up finishing it anyway. But it was when I left corporate America. Like it's a chance that I took to create something different than what the traditional norm is for everyone that does, like at my job at Philip Morris, because most people were there for 30 years plus. So it's one of those things that was different and it's uncomfortable. So last night we did a webinar called, that we're putting together this program that's private at the moment, actually. So I'm not going to talk about it. But the aspect of one of the questions on the call was they talked about is being part of a community of like-minded individuals who want to be a part of something greater than themselves to help associate building their business. And I mentioned something that we kind of briefed over and we didn't really talk about more specifically, but I will on this video and in future videos and calls. But it's about surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who believe in the same similar mentality with you. Because when we're running our business, sometimes we feel alone that nobody else is actually there. So we're just like, okay, well, what are we going to do? This, I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my dad about it. I talked to my brother about it or my sister about it, and they don't believe in me, or they give me a bunch of shit for it or whatever, and they just don't see the same vision I see. Stop talking to them about your freaking business. Like, the bottom line is, who freaking cares what they have to say? Like, when I started my business, I stopped talking to my parents about what I was doing. The reality is I don't really talk to my parents about what I'm doing now, let alone my brother and my sister, because it's different mentalities and it's a different direction. So I know, and they don't ask me about it, which is fine, and they don't really bring it up, which is great, like whatever. But the reality is, like, if I'm starting my business, I don't go to I'm just using my parents for example, because they're not business owners. They have led amazing lives in doing what they've been doing in their life, but the reality is they are not business owners. So the mentality and what I go through as a business owner is not something that my parents experience as they're working as employees. And that is perfectly okay, right? A lot of people will be like, well, that's really bad. And how can you say that about your parents? Blah, 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 whatever. But the truth, like, it's the truth. So I'm not going to sit here and take business advice from individuals who don't own a business. Now, life advice, stuff like that is where I can go to talk to my parents about. But I don't care what they tell me or what they say when it comes to me running my business. And the same goes for my friends. Same goes with my family. I remember being in the living room of a guy I grew up with and went to high school with that was just like, don't you think that's a little crazy? I don't know. That's not going to work. This isn't going to work. This isn't, and I'm just like, I never took the attitude to that type of thing because first off, it was what I told him. It's not what he actually has done. Those are two completely different things. If he's done something like that and failed and he says this isn't going to work, then I'll listen and ask questions about why. So it's the reality of like, who are you listening to when it comes to advice regarding business, ownership, running your own business, operating your own life, even if you have a job, right? It's your job, in marketing, let's say, and you're talking to somebody about how to better your job and they're in manufacturing and running a piece of equipment, right? That's two different types of mentality of different advice that you're going to receive. So, bottom line is, listen to like-minded individuals. Surround yourself with people that are doing what you're doing. That's all I got to say. Cheers!